Hello, this is Jim Reynolds, and you are on the Christian Life Empowerment Podcast. Wow, has it been a week? I tell you what, it was Friday morning, and we woke up and started breakfast, and boom, all of a sudden, no power, nothing, zero, nada. And that, I don't know, it's funny, you have no power and you still walk around flipping lights on when you go into the bathroom and everything else, and it's just not much fun. We're so used to having power in our daily lives and just the way we live that all of a sudden you don't have power and it's like, oh no. So here we are. We're without power. I've got my wife, and then we had a friend staying over because he had back surgery, and so he had asked to stay at our house for a few days because he was a single guy. So I said, yeah, cool. So he had back surgery Thursday. Friday we lose power. My son and my grandson, they lost power also. But fortunately for me, because I am prepared, because I run this, emergency preparedness program for Ultimate Mission, I'm prepared, right? I've got a wood stove. I've got firewood. I have a big 5-gallon bottle of propane plus. I mean, I've got a couple of them. And I've got all my camping gear. So we have heat, we have a way to cook, we have a way to have lights. We basically have what we need. And then of course I store enough food to keep us for a couple weeks, and water and all that good stuff like you're supposed to do. And I'm not saying I have everything set up. I'm not a prepper or anything, but I do, here in the Pacific Northwest, we're looking for that 9.0 subduction zone earthquake. And so those of us that have thought this through and are trying to talk to other people about this we've stocked up a little bit because we could be 2 weeks without any help. And at the very least, we all need to be at least 3 days that we can survive on our own. And that's pretty much what it was like around here. I mean, everybody was scrambling because everybody's out of power. And the other funny thing about being out of power is my other son lives a couple blocks away from me, and he had an extra generator. He brought over a generator, which, we really wasn't essential for us. But, okay, it was nice to have a generator, right? It was nice to be able to flip on a few lights, and we're watching the houses around us, and they're in pitch dark, and they're cold, pitch dark, and here we are, we got lights, we got a fire, and we slipped in a DVD and we watched a movie or two. So it was not a bad time for us. And our family came together. Well, normally everybody lives apart, but now we come together. So we were pretty good. But for the first 3 days, one of the hard parts that I hadn't really thought of before is that you can't get gas, right? All the gas stations, their pumps run on power. So every gas station around us is closed. We go to the bank to try to draw money out of the bank. All the ATMs are shut down. I mean, everything takes power. And it would be the same if you had the subduction zone earthquake. And another thing that I really didn't think about before going through this, because we were, 3.5, almost 4 days without power. And then, not only that, but it was sub-freezing temperatures. It was down to like 28 degrees. It was very cold. There was no power. There was no, within a short distance, there was no fuel. I've got a Toyota 4-wheel drive truck, so I can go just about anywhere. But so I had to travel a little ways to get fuel for the generator when we got the generator here and going. But the one thing I didn't think about too much is, as I'm calling around to my friends, and of course the phones didn't work. There was another thing. I still don't have internet right now, and the phones didn't work. All we could do is text. But as we're texting around and people start checking in, there was a lot of my friends that didn't have the things they needed. They didn't have heat. They didn't have a way to cook. They didn't have, no wood, no firewood. And I started to realize that when we're in this type of situation like this, is you not only got to have things for yourself, but you need to have stuff for your family and friends that don't have anything. Like for instance, my son Brock didn't have a fireplace, so he moved in with me, which was totally cool. I got to spend time with him and my grandson, which was great. But I had other friends that also didn't have this stuff, and I can't move everybody in with me. So, I was divvying out some of the firewood or whatever I could spare and giving it to other people. But as I was thinking in my preparedness, as I plan for disaster to happen, I not only have to plan for myself, but I really need to plan for the people around me, for my neighbors, for my friends. And that is, that is a good segue into kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today because most of you know that listen to this podcast that I am the president, the CEO of an organization called Ultimate Mission. And what Ultimate Mission does, a lot of you know, is we do a lot of different things, but one of the things we do is we take medical teams to third world countries and we train pastors' wives in those third world countries to do medical missionary work so they can work with their husbands. And when you have the husbands and the wives working together, they can get into a lot more homes. They can end up telling a lot more people about Jesus. It just, the medical work and the spiritual work, they just go hand in hand like nothing else, like absolutely nothing else. So this is one of the things we do. And a while back, and one of the things we do during this is we give our workers in these third world countries something called a Mahdi drop. And you Google that, you can go to Mahdi drop and you can find out all about it. But it's a ceramic tablet infused with silver ions that will last a family of 5 an entire year. You use it over and over again. You just drop this ceramic tablet into a 5-gallon bucket of water. In 24 hours, that water's safe to drink. And you can use it over and over again, day after day, for an entire year. And the other beauty about this thing is it sits up on a shelf. And you could sit up on a shelf for 100 years, and you bring it down and it'd work. So this is a great little thing we send to third world countries. And I was trying to think, okay, I would like to be able to find a way to create a revenue source because, we can't take medical teams over and all this equipment over to these third world countries for free. Somebody's got to pay for it, right? And so we have a lot of donations and people donate. And if you want to donate, hey, that's great. Go to ultimatemission.net. That's ultimatemission.net. You can donate anytime you'd like. And boy, we would just love you for it. But we also try to figure out different revenue sources. And so as a way to figure out a revenue source, I worked with the Oregon Conference and I took this Mahdi drop to them thinking, okay, maybe we can find a way to sell this to ADRA, or maybe we could sell it to people that were trying to prepare. And then I talked to Laura Pasco, who's been on one of my podcasts, and she was telling me, well, you know what? One of the biggest problems with disaster preparedness is that people don't know their neighbors. And boink, the light went off in my head because Ultimate Mission, of course, what our whole goal is to train people to be missionaries. And so I thought, wow, what if we put this Mahdi drop in a package with the information that somebody would need to survive a disaster, and this could be a way to reach out to the community. And so this is what we did. So I worked with the Oregon Conference, and I found this information that had already been put together by the city of Gresham Police, right, on how to survive a disaster. And I asked them for permission. I used some of their stuff, and I found other stuff, and used some of Dr. Don Hall's stuff, and we put a program together, or we put a book together. And in this book, in the back of this book, is also the Mahdi drop, this tablet, this silver-infused ceramic tablet that will keep a family of 5 in clean water for a year. So here you got a book, and the book has all the things you need to know to survive a disaster. And in the back of the book is a tablet that will keep you in clean water for a year. And so what we did with this then is we put it in packs of 5. We sold it in packs of 5. And this thing works so cool. So what I did here in my neighborhood last year is I invited 20 of my neighbors to come over to my house, and we had root beer floats. They came over to my house, and then I gave everybody one of these books. Of course, 20 people didn't come. I invited 20 different neighbors, but only 10 came. But I tell you something, if you ever gone door to door to try to sign people up to do Bible studies, or to try to invite them to a church program, or to try to invite them to anything, right? If you get 50%, that's huge. In anybody's book, that's a huge, huge success. So 50% of the people that I invited came, and one of the Everybody's hesitant to knock on somebody's door and to talk to people they don't know. And a lot of times we don't really know our neighbors like we used to, which is a tragedy. And and so people are hesitant to knock on doors, and I'm not one of those people. I'll knock on anybody's door. I don't care. But I went up to this one door, and it had no soliciting sign, and it says, "Do not knock if you are unless," it says, "unless, do not knock on this door unless you are selling Girl Scout cookies or you are a neighbor." You see, going door to your neighbors and having something, a gift for them, is actually something that's really, really easy. And this book is a gift. It's the Neighborhood Connection book. It's got all these things in I talked about with you. And you go to the door and you tell your neighbor, "Hey, I'm going to give you this book. If you come over on such and such a date, we're going to sit around. We're going to have root beer floats. We're going to have a barbecue, whatever you decide to do. And we're just going to have a little party." And I tell you, it works. It's as easy as giving out homemade cookies. It's the easiest outreach I have ever done in my life. And so all my neighbors, 10 of my neighbors, 10 households came over, not 10, so husband and wife, some of them were single, but 10 households came over to my front yard, and we sat in a circle, and everybody had a book, right? Gave everybody a book. Now, inside of this book, there is a page where people can write down their neighbor's address, phone number, email, pets' names, children's names, and special skills. Special skills meaning if somebody is a plumber, electrician, a nurse, an EMT, somebody's got a skill that is going to help out if there is a disaster. Somebody's got a chainsaw, somebody's got a ladder, somebody's got a rope, somebody's got something that'll help out in case of a disaster. And so what we did is we sat in a circle and we started at one end. And we said, "Okay, what is your name? What is your address? What is your email? What is your phone number? What are your kids' names? What are your pets' names? What are your special skills?" And as each person went around and told us this information, when they talked about their children, they would, you'd hear a story about their children. If they talked about their pets, you may hear a story about one of their pets. And then another neighbor says, "Oh, I saw that dog walking down the road the other day and I brought him over to your house," or whatever. And so you start getting this interaction, and you start getting people talking and bonding. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It is. I have done a lot of different outreaches. As Ultimate Mission, we've been around since 2009. We've done evangelism series. We've done big programs where we brought the Mosaic Sanctuary to the Portland area. We had 8,000 people come to this thing. I mean, we have done a lot of different things in a lot of different countries. But I got to tell you that this is one of the very easiest things that I've ever done, is to talk to my neighbors about a disaster and what we could do to help each other out. Because I'm not trying to shove my religion down their throat. I'm not trying to even tell them about Jesus. What I'm doing is I'm being Jesus, right? I'm being this person that hopefully they can see through me and see Jesus Christ and see God. And because I'm just doing this because I love them. And I'm giving them a gift, and it's very tame, very innocent. And I'm telling you, it works. And when the coronavirus first started, because we did this before COVID, right? So when the coronavirus first started, I went around to all my neighbors. I went 6 feet back, and I talked to each of them. And I was able to pray with a couple of my neighbors. I mean, this would have never happened. I'd never even met them before this. And I was able to pray with a couple of my neighbors. And I've developed these relationships with these people in my neighborhood that I never, ever would have had. And so when these disasters happen, when this freeze happened, I'm working with the neighbors on one side and the other and across the street, and we're all just working together to clear the road, clear the branches, get the power lines out of the way. We didn't touch the power lines, but we did kind of get the cable lines that fell down out of the way. And we're just all there for one another. And it's just, wow. It's just a great way to build a relationship, to get to know people. So why am I talking about this today? Well, number one, I'm in the middle of another stinking crisis. I mean, first we go through the fires, then we, in the middle of the coronavirus, And now we have this horrific ice storm, and I've got branches all over my house and in the backyard, which I've got to go do next is go chainsaw all these branches down. But my goodness. So why am I talking about this? Well, because Ultimate Mission still has these books. And usually I don't get on here and try to sell something, right? But we sell these books in packs of 5 for $75 a pack. And you can buy a single one for $20 if you want, but you can buy 5 of them for $75, and it comes with a Mahdi drop in it, and it's just such a wonderful way to get to know your neighbors. Just an amazing way. And I've had churches that took on this project and bought the books, and I'm willing to come to a program. I'm willing to come speak to your church. Of course, not many churches are open right now, but there's just. This is a very simple way to build a relationship with the people in your community. And by the way, it's a good way to try to stay safe. I mean, these different disasters we've had have been regional, okay? So I was able to travel to go find gas somewhere in this disaster. When we had the fires, the people from Molalla and Estacada were able to come to Gladstone to have a place to stay, to find things, the food and water and everything else. If we have that subduction zone earthquake that's a 9.0 earthquake, guess what? It's not going to be regional. It's going to be, from Canada to California. And we're not going to have a close place where we can go get stuff. We're only going to have our neighbors to rely on. And imagine, if you will, if you get together with your neighbors before a disaster happens and you help them through a disaster, imagine the prayer ministry you're going to have. There's unlimited amounts of good that can come from this project. You can get these books. You can go to ultimatemission.net and scroll down till you see the Neighborhood Connection program, and I will be happy to get you these books. I will be happy to talk with you about it. I've got PowerPoint presentations that I can give you. I will give you anything you need to make this project happen. But I'm telling you that from experience, this is one of the best projects Ultimate Mission's ever had. So hey, just wanted to let you know. I hope that most of you will have power. I know a lot of people still don't have it at this point in time. Thank God I have power, not internet yet, but I figured out how to use my phone as a hotspot, so I'm going to be able to get this podcast out. But I hope that you stay safe, that you stay warm, and that you get prepared, because guess what? We got some tough times still coming. All right. God bless. See y'all soon. Goodbye.